please leave the building at the nearest exit and follow Mark and or myself. Okay, do we have any apologies for absence at the moment?
No apologies have been received. Apology, Chair. No apologies have been received, but Councillor Pearson is absent, but okay. I'm sure he is coming on not.
No, he may have said something. Okay, thank you for that. Item 2 is, are you all agreeable that I sign the minutes of the 6th of April 2021? Okay, so in the absence of anything, I'll get those signed. Item 3 is please declare any declarations of interest, indicate to myself before the meeting. And number 4 is the local government. There are no part 2 items on the agenda this evening. Item 5 is public questions. So we're saving ourselves 15 minutes here, everybody. There are no public questions being received. So we'll go straight into item 6. And item 6 is the revised local development scheme. And I'm going to ask Councillor Morse, portfolio, just to read the recommendations, and then I believe it's yourself, Bindu, who will talk to the report, and I know we've got George here if we need him. Councillor Morse.
The recommendation is that the Executive approves the local development scheme as the basis for preparing the local planning policy and in particular the new local plan.
Thank you, Councillor. Bindu.
Thank you. The report refers to the local development scheme, identifies the scope and timetable for the preparation of the new local plan and the broad approach to preparing other planning policy documents. So we need to prepare a new LDS, Chair, due to the end of the Greater Exeter Strategic Plan or guest process, as members will be aware. So in that former process, the guest would have set the policy context for a local development delivery plan. Now, members will be aware that the former guest authorities have agreed in principle to the development of a non-statutory plan, and the timescale for this will be brought before members at your meeting in July. So if we focus then on Exeter's local plan, the issues that were going to be covered in the former guest as well as the development delivery plan. There's no request this evening for resources for us to develop the local plan, as this has been previously agreed by members. What this will do is identify, as I said, the timetable for the plan, with which I'd just like to speak to, Chair. So members report that the timetable is being submitted to the Inspectorate in June 2023. From that point on, it's the Planning Inspectorate that effectively determines the timetable until it's adopted. And the adoption of the plan is envisaged for June 2024. This does, to some extent, depend on the implementation of the proposals in the planning white paper, as well as the speed of the examination, but officers feel it's a realistic timescale. Members might wish to know that the government's current target is that all local planning authorities should have a local plan in place by December 2023. And in fact, ULEAD, as well as the current and previous portfolio holders, have urged officers to work towards an earlier completion of our local plan. Officers have undertaken a review process with the Planning Advisory Service, and whilst they've given us some useful guidance, which might have rating the plan, we have incorporated that, but we still feel that it would be difficult to shorten the timetable. That's because of some of the current uncertainties around what might come out of the local, the white paper, as well as some of the work that we need to do locally. So George is heading up the local plan team, still a fairly young team in time, and we still need to recruit some additional resources. So all existing and is in line with neighbouring authorities who provide consultation. I just wanted to say a few words, if I can, about the public consultation process. So as the milestone document identifies, stakeholders to inform progress on the plan and meet statutory requirements. Members may wish to know that at your next meeting in July, you'll be asked to agree the issues consultation document referred to earlier, which is due to be issued in September 2021. And you will also be asked to agree the Council Statement of Community Involvement. And that statement of involvement will set out how the Council intends to involve our communities, organisations and other interested parties when we prepare our planning policies and make decisions on planning applications. I hope members will agree that George has put together a fairly clear report, but George will be happy to answer any questions of detail that members might have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, and we'll come to George later. But before we come to the executive, the Councillor Diana Moore has indicated that you wish to speak on this one. Councillor Moore, you've had some questions, and I appreciate the questions coming in advance, and you've had some answers to that. So this is about giving you the chance to speak to the committee about this particular matter.
Thank you very much. And I'm grateful to the planning team who responded to my questions that I sent in via email, which have been very helpful. And the questions were setting out, covering the process of the detail of the development of the plan and the associated documents, and also the working arrangements. And so I've got 3 questions that I would be grateful for the executive to consider, please. So the timetable is very high level with the milestones set out. And I wondered, will there be a dedicated web page with a dynamic timetable that can include this and other elements, with key dates added to it as the process develops, so that the public can understand what is going on and when? The officer confirmed that the Council's development company, Exeter City Living, will be in the local plan process in the same way as any other developer. Please can the portfolio holder clarify the status of the Liverpool Exeter programme in relation to the development of the local plan, and how the role of the Council as leading this programme will be managed distinct or not, or otherwise, from the Council's role as the planning authority. And my last question is, what support has been given to the officer planning team who have prepared this report and will be delivering the local plan to meaningfully assess the carbon impact of this timetabled activity and the plan itself? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. So those questions, I'm going to ask you if you could email them to us, and you will get a response to the questions. Because this isn't like a two-way thing here. I've listened to your contribution, and I'm hoping that many of those things would be taken up and we can take up. But the detail of the questions, if you could email us, and then we can share them and get you the answers that you want, rather than put people on the hoof here tonight in that way, Councillor Moore. So we do want to get you those answers. A couple of them I want to hear the answer to, and we'll get that done. So thank you for your contribution. I'll come to you at the end, Councillor Moore, after we've had everything, and you can put it together for us and to see if we need George and or Bindu. So I'm going to open it up to the floor. Anybody would like to make a contribution or anything? Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for Bindu and to Councillor Morse for the report. I think it's we are where we are with this process now, and I know from having been involved in previous local plans, it can seem like a very long-winded process because of the statutory requirements that we have to go through, and the point at which we have to hand it over to the inspector. I welcome comments about work will start on this. It's difficult for the officer group to move forward at pace on this until the details around the government's white paper are clarified to the point at which it's not the white paper, but actually is proposed legislation. That is the background to what we're going to be doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Anybody else want to come in? Okay, Councillor Morse? Yes. Bindu, if you can, sort of,
Thank you, Councillor Morris.
you know the inner workings of the government, could you share that?
Yeah, I'll do my best. No. So I think absolutely, as the paper says, there are some things we obviously need to wait for confirmation in terms of enacting what comes out of the white paper consultation. But there's certainly lots of work that we can do. So some of that work was started as part of the guest process when we thought obviously that was what we were doing, as well as delivery framework around that. So there is some work that we can do in the background, but you're right, in terms of being firm about when we can actually get to the point of adoption or submission even to the planning inspectorate. That's why we're saying we think we can possibly do it by 2024. It wasn't possible in our view to go any earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu. Again, if there's nobody else, Councillor Morse.
First of all, I think this is an excellent document, and I'm very grateful to all of the planning team members that have been working on this since I took over as portfolio holder and my previous portfolio holder. As soon as the guest collapsed, we have been putting a lot of pressure on officers to move forward with the local plan. And yes, I would like a slightly more ambitious timescale, but I've had lots of conversations about whether that was unrealistic or whether and I think it's better that we have a realistic target. So I'm very grateful to the officers. I think it's a great document, and next month I'll be bringing some of the other documents to everyone so that we can start moving forward, and hopefully as time goes on, the local plan that will do us credit.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Morse. So if there's no further contribution to add, we've taken on board some of those issues that you've mentioned. If we could have the detail of those questions, we will make sure that those are not just shared between myself but with all councillor group. I think most of them are important. So, I'll move from the chair, the recommendation, there it is, on the screen. Can I have a second, please?
Second, Chair.
So, all those in favour, please show.
That's a unanimous vote, Chair. The recommendations have been carried.
Thank you, Mark. Turning to item 7, which is members' allowances and expenses paid 2020-2021. There are here, Councillor Pearson's on here, so I'll do the recommendations. You will see the recommendation is members of the executive note the allowances paid and the expenses claimed by members, and the correction that the remuneration of the chair of the newly formed Harbour Board is £1,567. Mark, can you talk to the document, please?
Thank you, Chair. This is the report on the allowances paid to elected members in 2020-21, and it's provided for your information. The local authorities members' allowances regulations 2003 requires the council publish the total sum of each of the following allowances listed in the report, which includes the basic allowances, special responsibility allowance, dependents care allowance, travelling and subsistence allowance, co-optees allowance, and the Lord Mayor and Deputy Lord Mayor's expenses allowance. The amounts are paid in accordance with the scheme of members' allowance as agreed by Council on the 1st of December 2020, which accepted the recommendations of the Independent Remuneration Panel. Sorry, I can't drop that word. On the members' allowances, which included the approval of the scheme for 2022. I would draw members' attention just to a few points, if I may, Chair. Details on this particular document, mainly being due to the COVID pandemic, there was less travel, conferences and meetings for members to attend. The amount of Councillor Patterson is shown lower is due to her sadly passing in the last year. The Lord Mayor also took less allowance for his Lord Mayor's responsibilities over the course of the year. The chair of the newly formed Harbour Board is also a portfolio holder and therefore wouldn't attract any additional special responsibility allowance. Members also just to note that the payment for the newly formed Council Housing and Development Advisory Board will be drawn separately from the Housing Revenue account. As shown in the recommendations, an administration error was made at the December report, which showed the chair of the Harbour Board, where it should have read the amount of 1,567 rather than the sum quoted of 1,527. And I'll try and take any questions if any members have any.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for clearing that up, and also for clearing it up that these allowances are not compound for portfolio holders. The only thing I would take issue with you, whereas no expenses were paid, there weren't less meetings during the last year. I felt like a lot of others, there were meetings, but they were all virtual meetings. So I think, I don't want people to think that we all sat at home not doing very much, in actual fact, we've done
Yes.
a lot more.
I think it means there's less travelling for meeting costs. Probably.
Absolutely, it does. Yes, to the room at the back of the house was the travel. Okay, is there anybody wish to make any observations or comments on any of that? So we've got the recommendation. Thank you very much.
Those recommendations have been approved, Chair.
Thank you, Mark. And so we move on to item 8 now, appointment to outside bodies. And again, Councillor Pearson is not here, but there are 2 recommendations that we approve the appointments to outside bodies as set in Appendix A of this report, and the Corporate Manager of Democratic and Civic Support is granted delegated powers in consultation with the group leaders to appoint, when necessary, representatives to outside bodies during the course of the municipal year. I'll move then. Mark, is there anything that we need to bring people's attention?
Just a standard report which comes out annually, which the council's website is updated following approval. Appendix A shows just the proposed appointments and representations. I won't go into too much detail about what outside bodies is. I think it's just a working partnership with the council and external bodies. We have asked to ensure for rapid appointments about continuing delegated powers for the Corporate Manager of Democratic and Civic Support to appoint representatives in consultation with the group leaders throughout the year to say having the council coming back. So going to full council for each time for a change. And also just want to note about the introduction of a new code of conduct for members, which came into effect on the 18th of May 2021. It's part of the responsibility to register and declare registrable interests, including the outside bodies. Yes, that's be done. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Chair. As many of you will know, and it's identified here in Appendix A, I have been your representative on many interesting and informative bodies. Airport Consultative Committee, the Totsham River Commissioners, HATOC, and the Devon County Council Rail Forum, with the bringing into existence of our Transport Board. In terms of recommendation to that, I would like to advise you that we are also seeking Rail Forum on the forum in order to bring together and integrate all our transport issues, and then if other important and interesting transport bodies become known to us throughout the year, we should also be seeking to ensure that we are represented there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Harvey. Indeed, at least one of those that you mentioned to me, I have been on to them about getting yourself and your representatives on there. I think transport is very important, and that's why we've created that working group for us all. Okay, is there any other contributions from the floor on this matter? Anybody want to volunteer? No? And so, I'll move that from the chair's recommendation.
Seconded, Chair.
That's a unanimous vote, Chair. Those recommendations have been carried.
Thank you, Mark. 9 of the Local Government Act of 1972, the Right Worshipful the Lord Mayor be requested to convene an extraordinary meeting of the Council on the rising of the ordinary meeting of the Council on the 20th of July 2021 to consider granting the position of Honorary Alderman of their role moved and everything. So here we go.
If you like, Chair, I'm sure we kind of giving a couple of
Yeah, you can carry on.
Just to say, Mrs. Boggin and Lyons, the terms amounted to 13 and 17 years respectively, and as well as serving as Lord Mayor of the City during their terms of office. Affected by the government's decision to revoke the council status, she also held a position of both Lord Mayor and Deputy Lord Mayor during her tenure. And it's and we hope and just some information to all that.
Yeah. So you're telling us that they've met the protocol.
Mrs. Robson technically doesn't fall under the timescale
Right.
of that. It's extenuating circumstances which impacted the.
Right. So we have to acknowledge that in doing it. I mean, from the chair, I'm happy with that, as long as we know. So, okay. Councillor Morse and then Councillor Sutton.
I think we did the same Councillor Baldwin when she finished, because she was short, sort of 6 months of the term because of the previous situation. Yeah, so it's not just when it's happened.
No. Councillor Sutton.
That's what I was going to say as well, Chair.
That's good. Okay, well, if we're all content with that, we'll go to the July Council meeting. And so, all those in favour of the recommendation? I didn't technically move it, but I will.
I was just going to ask
Yeah,
thank you.
we got rid of it.
That was unanimous vote in favour of the
I'm
recommendation.
pleased. Okay, everybody. So that is the agenda. Just one little thing to say from it. We're in the new municipal year now, and spoken to the Chief Executive, and what I would like to do is, this time last year roughly, we set about having a review of the committee structure and a few things. I will talk to the leaders about what the parameters of that review will be in relation to meetings, you know, about questions and all that sort of stuff, particular question time. Is it working in that a small group will be constituted in accordance with the council's makeup? So I just thought I would say that, because if it happens, I don't need no mover or seconder of that. It's just an intention, but I want to make it clear that's what we intend. So there we go. It's a lovely evening. It's before 6 o'clock, everybody. There are boxes around you, so enjoy the rest of the evening.